identify the vertices and foci of each. So here the question itself is telling us that this is the general form of the equation of an ellipse. And if we can convert this general form into the standard form of equation of an ellipse, either in this first form where a square is in the denominator, and in the second form b square is in the denominator, depending on the values of a and values of this a and b, that is higher value is called as a square and the smaller one is b square. We'll decide on finding those vertices and foci. So the main thing here is I have to rewrite this standard form, into standard form, from the general form, change it into the standard form. That is the standard form here. Alright. Okay, let's go. Now, I have 4x square minus 64x plus 9y square. I'm trying to write x's together and y's together so that I'll get into this standard form. 9y square plus 180y plus 580 is equal to 0. If I take away that 580, subtract 580, because I'm looking for a number on this, not 0. So I'll just cancel it off here. 580 gone, so you're left with the negative 580 on the right hand side. Further, 4x square minus 64x plus a number, I should get it here so that it becomes a perfect square like x minus h whole square, and we don't know what goes into this. So let's hold on. Then 9y square plus 18, it's 180, 180y plus, I'll leave a blank, is equal to negative 580. Then take out a common factor. In this, I can see 4 is a common factor. 4 divides 4 and 4 divides 64. 4 can divide 4 one time, so 1x square. And 4 divides 64 16 times. Right, I'll write 16x plus whatever number is there, if 4 is taken out already. We'll talk about it in next step. Then you have 9 common factor in these two. 9 times y square is 9y square plus 180 divided 9 is 20, so 20y, right? Same thing, 9 times 20 is 180 plus a blank is equal to negative 580. Okay, now we have to come up with a number here. On writing that number, these 3 terms will change into a perfect square, right? It becomes a perfect square trinomial. Then you can write it as x minus h whole square form. So what is that number? Like we know, this is the coefficient of x, that is negative 16, divide by 2 to give you negative 8, and that negative 8 on squaring gives you how much? 8 times 8 is 64 with a positive sign. Negative 8 times negative 8 is 64. So you added 64 to this x square minus 16x so that it becomes a perfect square. Alright, that I'll write it off right away so that you'll understand it better. So x minus 8 whole square, that is x square minus 16x plus 64 is equal to x minus 8 whole square. that 64 is the number that is required. You brought it into this parenthesis. Okay. So in fact, what is that number you brought? The 64. On bringing 64 and times 4 here, 4 times 64. 64 times 4, that is 240, 60, 256. That is, you added 264 on the left hand side of this expression. So I will add the same 264, 256 on the right hand side also. 256. Let me go back for a second. See here, this was 16. Negative 16 divided 2 gave you negative 8. That negative 8 on squaring gives you positive 64. So you added 64 in this expression. That is, on the whole of the equation, 64 is added on the left hand side. And it is not just 64 because it is inside the parenthesis and outside it is multiplying by 4. So it is 4 times 64. That is 256 is added on the left hand side. Therefore, I added the same 256 on the right hand side. And what is the purpose of doing this? So that I will get an expression of the form of x minus h whole square. If I want to verify, just expand this x minus 8 times x minus 8. If you multiply, that gives you back the same x square minus 16x plus 64. Okay, now the second part with reference to this y's. What happens? Y square plus 20y. So I have to divide this 20 by 2 and you get 10. The 10 has to be squared to give you 100. That is, 100 is the missing number here. So on writing this 100, what happens to this expression? It becomes a perfect square as y plus 10 whole squared. Right? This is how that 9 times y, because of the plus sign, I have to write plus 10 whole square. So you got a perfect square here. And this 100 is included by us. We brought in 100 into the picture. That 100 is not just 100, but 100 times 9. That is, on the whole, 900 is added on the left hand side. So because you added 900 on the left hand side, we have to add the same 900 on the right hand side. So now I think everything is balanced. Whatever we did to the left hand side, you did same thing to the right hand side, and also those expressions are obtained like x minus h whole square and y minus k whole square. We are almost there. Now what do you have on the right hand side? 580, that's a minus sign, negative 580 plus 256 plus 900. That will give you how much it is. Let me use a calculator so that there won't be any error. Just alright, I'll start off with what? Negative 580 plus 256 plus 900 add gives you 556. Right? So this is 576. Right? 576, that's right. But in the standard form of the ellipse, here we have 1 on the right hand side, and also beside this x minus h whole square and y minus k whole square, there is no numerical coefficient. Like here you have 4 and that is 9. We have to get rid of those two numbers, as well as this 576 must be changed as 1. We have to make it as 1. So how do you do that? On the right hand side, if I want to cancel this 576 and make it as 1, the best way is to divide by 576. So if you divide the right hand side by 576, you have to divide every term on the left hand side also by 576. In fact, the whole 576 I can write here and again separate it into this term and there, 576. So divide by 576 throughout. Now we know that 4 can divide 576, but how many times? 576 divide 4 gives you 144. Similarly, 576 divide 9. 576 divide 9 is how much? 64. Okay. So this is x minus 8 whole square over this 4 came down and divided 576 144 times plus y plus 10 whole square over 576 divided 9 was how much? 64, right? Yeah, 64. And on the right hand side, 576 over 576 is 1. Now you see, it is just like the standard form of the equation of an ellipse, and a square is greater. That 144 has to be your a square and b square is your 64. So this is the appropriate formula for the given scenario. 144 is bigger number, that's why we have selected this standard form of an ellipse. Now you have to find what? You are looking for the vertices and foci, right? So in order to find that, I'll get these things first, our edge, k, etc. So you know this is your edge, that is k, this is a square, that is b square. So h is equal to negative of negative, that is 8. H is 8 by itself, but k is negative and positive will give you a negative thing, so negative 10. And a square is 144, so a is equal to 12. And b square is 64, that gives me b is equal to square root of 64, that is 8. So having known the value of a and b, I can find c. C is equal to what? The formula says a square minus b square, that is 144 minus 64 to give 80. So square root of 80 is 16 times 5, 16. 80 is not a perfect square, so you have to simplify like this. So 16 perfect square times 5, that gives you square root of 16 is 4, and square root of 5 I don't know, I'll write down this thing. So that is the value of c. We have the value of a, b and c, h and k, so use those values to find the required vertices and the focus. Alright, this to get center, this is 8, H is 8, K is negative 10. So you know this is 8 here. That's C. C is how much? 4 root 5. 4 root 5 and K is negative 10. For vertices, this is H 8, A is 12, and K is negative 10. Okay, so I'll use it. Here, first thing, let me find the vertex V1 is what? Okay, H, that is 8 plus A is 12, comma K negative 10. That gives me 20 comma negative 10. That is the first vertex. The second one, V2, is 8 minus 12 comma negative 10. That is 8 minus 12 is negative 4 comma negative 10. And to get the focus, first one, F1, is how much? 8 plus 4 root 5. 8 plus 4 root 5, comma K is negative 10. It is just the same because 8 plus 4 root 5. Rational and irrational we don't add together unless you want to approximate its value. So you can just leave it like this. And second one, F2, is 8 minus, this is C value, 4 root 5, comma K, that is negative 10. That's all. So we have the first vertex, second vertex, first focus, second focus. Okay. So the process, the key here is, this is the thing, like transforming this into a standard form by adding that required number and doing the same on the right hand side. Follow the steps carefully and you'll be able to do the next problem by yourself. Okay, thank you.